Hello everyone, welcome to NACO Brains from NACO Architectural Console. In this particular video, we are going to develop floor plans using single lines using the AutoCAD architecture software. Now, with a couple of knowledge we had about the interface and how the ribbon and panels within the interface works, we are going to develop floor plan, laying out all these compartments within the floor plan you see here. So straight away, let's move to AutoCAD and see how we can develop this using single lines. Okay guys, so this is the startup of the AutoCAD architecture software. This is the first launch of the software, so we have no existing drawing to open. So we go straight forward to the start here to make use of the plus sign. So we click on the plus sign to add a sheet or a working drawing sheet. So it's going to load. You could see that we have the electronic windows here. Now the crosshair and the pick box has also been popped up. So this is the sheet we are going to make use of with a couple of ribbon and panels we have here in the interface. Mind you, we promise ourselves that we are going to create layers we normally use in working drawings. When we click the home menu, you could see that all those files and panels and tabs have been displayed in the ribbon area. Now in this case, we are going to go straight forward to the layer properties, help us create layers for the working drawings, our walls, our center lines, dimension lines within the AutoCAD software, especially when we're developing the floor plan for our working drawing. So let's move forward to the layer property over here. Now we can see the layer property popped out from the right side of your screen. So the AutoCAD software has embedded for us two layers we can start with. So they give us the zero layer, then the depth point layer. So we are going to create layers for the walls, the center lines, and subsequent layers we will be using for our work. So without wasting much time, let's move to this area where we have the new layer, as you can see over here. Again, you can use the shortcut button to add a new layer to your working drawing. So the shortcut is just on your keyboard, alternate plus the N will give you the chance to access the new layer. So let's click the new layer, then the AutoCAD has given us the name as layer 1. So this is what we are going to modify to the name we prefer for the component we are going to draw on our project. So let's type in a wall. So a hyphen wall. Okay, so after typing, you could see that this layer has copied the layer above, which is the zero layer. So all the properties we see here are from this particular layer we see above it. Everything has been copied from the first activated layer. We can change the properties you see here, the plotting property, the log, the freeze, the layer on or off button. They are all here. It's very important to control your lines, especially for plotting sake. You can change the line type from continuous to any other line of your choice. Now we can change the line thickness or the line width from the default to line thickness of 0.53 millimeters or 0.50 millimeters. Now after this, we can create another layer for doors. It is important to create more layers as possible for your work. Now, as we move on to the subsequent videos, you will appreciate the importance of the layers and how they are being controlled. Now, so let's name this layer as window layer, because we are going to fix windows within our floor plan. Now let's change the color from white to blue color like this. Then let's change the line weight, because we want the line weight to be a little bit thinner than the 0.50 millimeters. So let's move to something like 0.13, then click OK. Then now the line weight will be changed. Then the name will show here under the description side. So we have here to be windows. Then we have the A wall as architectural walls. So that is it. So let's create another layer for doors. Then we are going to change the color to this color. Then let's maintain the line width here. Then let's create something for our grid lines we'll be using. Then we change the color from this to something like this. Then let's change the thickness to 9. Then let's move from continuous to different line type. Now you can see that since the AutoCAD we've launched is a fresh document, we don't have much line types within this area. So how can we get more line types here? So now you move to the load button over here. After clicking, you see that we have quite a number of line types. There are many. We have line types for gas line type for fencing, line type for dashes. So many line types you can use within your project. So in this case, we are going to press Ctrl and A to select all. Now you click OK to add on. Now this notification is going to pop up asking you to reload the line type center 2, because the center 2 is already on. Then it said you should reload all selected lines. Yes, that is commendable. So we are going to make use of this particular reload all selected line types. Now we have plenty line types here we can make use of. So let's choose the dash over here to represent our grid lines. You could see that you have the name we choose for the line type appearing on the layer side. So we have quite a number of items and components you can create layers for. You can create as many layers as possible for it to make your work more efficient and effective. Now as we move on, you will appreciate it more when you get to some point. You will need to turn off some layers so as to help you work on a particular drawing. You will have to lock some layers. You have to freeze some layers to help you work on a different work. So let's move to the AutoCAD sheet. Now these layers we created have been saved automatically. So now anytime you shift to this part where you have the layer property manager at your right side, or any where on your screen, you can access those layers. And when you move to the layer panel over here, you can also access those layers as well, but you can't create layers within this area unless you move to the layer properties. It will help you to access this area where you can add new layer, you can delete any existing layer, or make modification within your layer manager. Now let's move to the AutoCAD sheet. Then we are going to develop this particular floor plan using single lines. Now let's move to this part, then make use of the line. Now after drawing the lines, originally this crosshair is serving as T-square and Z-square and pencil in creating all our working drawings over here. You can import this particular drawing on a PDF format to the AutoCAD to help you draft the layout of this particular floor plan. So let's move to AutoCAD again, then go straight forward to the menu bar over here. When you move to the assets, you can see that we have the import PDF. When you drop down, you can import PDF. Now when you move to the desktop where we've saved our work, this is the floor plan we are going to work on. Now after selecting, you could see that it has been previewed. Now click the OK. So you could see that this is more helpful because you have the PDF format on your screen, as simple as that, where you can now locate the rooms or the compartments within the floor plan very visible. Can even dimension this particular PDF drawing. So after having your horizontal line, now after activating the orthogonal mode, we are now going to draw another line again, which will be on the x-axis. So we are going to start from the master bedroom you see here. The size of the master bedroom, let's check the dimension and see. So let's move to annotation, then make use of the linear dimension over here. Then let's select the endpoint with our object snap on. This is the object snap. So when you turn it off, you can't access the start point and end point of any object. So let's turn it on so we can access the points, either midpoint or endpoint of any line. So this is the dimension or the width of the room, which is 3900 millimeters. Now let's check the vertical part as well. So the vertical length is also 3900. So after having this, you can now make use of the offset symbol, which of course you can type on your keyboard. Simple. Automatically it will direct you to the command line. So we click on the offset, or better still, you can press on your keyboard to activate it after you type the O. After typing the offset, it's now giving you the chance to type in the distance of your offset. So he said you should specify offset distance through a distance of 3900 millimeters. So after typing it and pressing on your keyboard enter, it will activate the 3900 distance. Automatically the crosshair will go off, leaving the pick box. So this is what we are going to use to pick the line you want to offset. So this is the pick box we are going to use to offset all our lines. Selecting this particular line which we want to offset, we want to offset within. So when you move to the right side like this, it's going to, no matter where you position your crosshair, the distance will still be given. So now you can see that the AutoCAD is giving you a clue as to how much the distance is. So this is the dimension you give when you entered the offset. So we have here to be 3900 millimeters. So that is what we've offset. So after getting the 3900, that is both sides. So the top is also 3900. Now let's move to this particular area where we have the bathroom or the bath. Then we have the closet as well. It's also 1500 millimeters. So let's press the enter or the space bar, because we are not going to type in the offset again, because it was the last or the immediate action or command we issued. So we are going to press the enter or space bar to continue the offset. Now we can't press enter again because the offset we did was the 3900. Now we are going to change it to 1500. So right away we have to type in 1500, changing it from the 3900 to 500. Now we are not going to change this particular area. We are rather going to add on another compartment for the bathroom and the closet over here. So now we move to this area, then we press the enter again. One thing we have to do is that with this, you can see that this is the internal dimensions of the whole area, the internal dimensions of the area. Now, we have been using the center line, as we can all see within the wall like this. This is the center line, as we all can see. So this is the center line. But when you move to this particular area where you want to select the center line of the walls. So now let's measure the center line instead of the internal surface. Now the center line dimension is 4050 millimeters. So that's what we will offset instead, which means that we've added the wall thickness to it already. So let's go to offset, then type in 4050 to replace the 3900 millimeters. So this is what we are going to use. So 4050, 4050. So now we have to delete these first lines. Now then we delete this one, then move to the offset again, then we type in the 1500, but we have to add the thickness of the wall to it. So instead of 1500, it's going to rather be 1650. Now moving to this area, let's use the quick measure over here. When you click the quick measure, it's going to give you preview of how the dimension is going to be. So this is actually 1200 millimeters is what we are going to type, but we are going to start it from here to this part because we don't know the length of this particular room, but we have the overall as 4050. But since we have the dimension of this side, there's no need for us to measure this area as well. So let's move to the offset again. Type in O on your keyboard, press enter, then you activate the offset command. So now you type in the 1350, which at the end of it all we will give you the thickness of the wall as well. So we type it from here, then we press it here. Now we have the 1350 from here to here. So let's check it again to see whether we are correct. So this is 1350, then we have here 1650. The horizontal and vertical dimension lines have been displayed. So let's move to the bedroom up here, which is also the same 3900 internal. So from here to this part is 3900, then from here to here is also 3900. So now we are going to type in only one dimension, which is the 4050. Only one. It's only one because we already have the horizontal offset here, so it's up to us to add the vertical offset over here. So we click this line, then we move up a bit, then we click somewhere here on the screen. Now you could see that we have the three compartments here. This is representing the master bedroom, this is representing the bathroom and the closet, then this is also representing the bedroom we see here. Now let's do some trimming. You select these two lines like this, then you type in TR on your keyboard. It will appear on your command line, then you press enter. So it's either select it from this part to activate it, or you leave the crosshair and peg box somewhere here, then you press enter straight away. Now it will give you the chance to trim the unwanted lines. Now you can as well type in the TR again on your keyboard without selecting any line or cutoff point. Now you double press the enter or the space bar to activate it. Now after double pressing it, you can now trim any unwanted lines within your work. So these are all unwanted lines. Now this one is what we will leave because we will need it to offset this balcony over here as well as the storeroom. This is actually a kitchen for the floor plan over here, so we mistakenly type in bedroom within this area. So when we are doing the lettering, we will correct that. This is what we are going to work on. So measuring from here to this part, let's check from the dimension over here, checking from the center line of the walls. So this is what we are going to use. So I think it's 4350. So this is what we are going to type in after entering the offset command. It will give us the chance to type in the preferred dimension, so 4350. So now after activating it, you select the line you want to offset, then it goes on to the right side. This is the compartment we've created. So let's start from the top to down here. The dimension is also 1500. So as you can see here, from the center line of the walls, we have it to be 1650. So that is what we are going to make use of. So we type in the offset again, then we type in the preferred dimension, which is 1650. You activate it, then you select this horizontal line over here, then you turn it up at the upper side here. Now when you move to this balcony over here, you could see that we have the storeroom over here. So the storeroom also has a dimension of 1200, which is the offset command. So 1350 because we've added the wall thickness to it. Then we move to the corridor over here, which is also so this is 1450. So this is what we are going to use. So automatically we have, so now we are now going to offset dimension for our kitchen. Now from here to here, let's measure and see the dimension we have. So we have it to be 2900 millimeters, 2900 millimeters, representing the compartment for the kitchen. So now we move ahead to trimming again because we are done with the first compartment we ought to create. Now it's left with the entrance porch, which we have over here. Let's check and see the dimension. Now from the center line to center line, we have it to be 2300. So this is what we are going to type within this area. We are going to offset this horizontal line downwards. When you enter it upwards, it will reduce the size of the living room over here. So you type the offset again, then you type in the preferred dimension, which is the 2300. So you select this horizontal line, then you offset downwards like this. Now you have it. So with this, we are now done with the offsetting. Now it's left for us to trim or fillet any of the joints we want to discard. So this is it. We select this particular line, then we type in the trim, then we enter over here. Now when you select it, you will see that the cutoff point is here. So after clicking the line from the unwanted part, it will cut off from this particular area. But if you didn't select this particular line or the cutoff point that you want to trim, it will not trim the line to where you want the line to be cut off. So this is how we make use of the trim. You can as well access the trim at the home menu over here. When you move to the home menu, you can as well access the trim. This is the symbol for the trim. So with the corners like this, we can make use of the fillet over here. So let's make use of the fillet. You can as well type in F on your command line over here. Then you activate it. Automatically the fillet is going to come. Now the fillet is giving you a clue as to whether you want some radius. Now the radius is set to 0, meaning that we have only horizontal and vertical. We don't have any curved line. So we are going to maintain the radius. So you click here, you click here. Now you have your line trimmed within this part. Now let's press the enter or the space bar to continue the command. You press here, you select here, you select here, you select, you select, you select, select here, select here. So this is what we use the fillet for. It can only work when you have corners like this. If you don't have corners, you can use the fillet to join or connect this corner unless you use the trim. So now we are going to make use of the trim. You select the cutoff point, then you select these unwanted lines. Now they are off. Again, you repeat the same action over here to make use of the trim. As you can see, you can as well type in the trim, then you double press the spacebar or the enter to activate the trim. The opposite of the trim is the extend. So in as much as you can use the trim to cut off some unwanted lines, you can as well connect this particular lines to this area. Assuming you want to extend this particular two lines to this area, there is no need for you to select them, then you stretch the lines from this part to this. Sometimes you can do it like that, but if your hands are not firm enough, your lines will not be straight. So I would advise you to make use of the extend rather than stretching these lines. So when you want to extend these two lines at once to this area, you can as well select the cutoff point here, or the end point for this particular two lines to hit this vertical line over here. So you move to the icon over here, then you make use of the extend. You can see the symbol moving one particular line to hit one line over here or another lines over here. Or you can as well type in EX on your keyboard, and once you press the enter, it will activate that command for you. So likewise, we've selected this line to be the hit point for this particular two lines. We can select them at once, then you could see that these two lines are hitting this vertical line. Now let's undo that, because based on our drawings, the lines, these two lines are not hitting the line over here. So but from the drawing you can see that the kitchen here, the line for the kitchen is hitting this particular wall. So we are now going to move this line to hit this vertical line. So now we type in the extend over here. So you select this particular line to hit the wall we have here. So this is actually how you create your compartment using single lines. Now we are going to turn these lines into solid block wall. or any type of wall you use in your country. We normally use 6 inches, 9 inches, and 5 inches as our block walls, depending on the type of building project you are putting up. So with this particular project, we are going to make use of the 6 inches, which is the 150 millimeter block wall. So with this area, now you could see that we have all our center line in place. Then we have the compartment well arranged. The layout is very clear. So we are now selecting the whole center line within this particular area. We select these center lines. Let's create another layer for this particular line, because within the front of the building we have balusters or balustrade here. It's not an enclosed area, it's an open area where you climb the stairs over here to access the entrance porch which we have here. Now, one thing we forgot to do is the entrance porch. You could see that the entrance porch has entered the living room a bit. So it's not all that protruded or projected. Some part has been moved in a bit. So we are going to work that thing out. So let's use the dimension line over here, the linear dimension, that we measure to see the length of the living room, the center line, rather than the internal walls. So now we have here 5,700. This means that we selected the center line rather than the internal uh, walls of the building. So we are now going to type in, after the offset, we type in the 5,700 to make it more compact. So after having this, you can see that we have the dimension from center line to center line as 2,300. So let's type in the offset again, then type in the correct dimension here. So we now move this one downwards to make it compact. And now delete this one, then we type in the trim again, then we trim this part, we trim this part, we trim this part. So now we have the correct arrangement of the room. After this, you can now delete this particular area because you don't need it again. You will use this arrangement to develop elevations, develop roof plans, develop foundation plans. Let's create a layer for the balustrade here so that we can trim these ones off. So let's move to the home again, or better still, we have the layer manager at the right side of our screen. You can set it anywhere at all. You can move it up here, you can move it at the left side, you can as well maintain it at the left side of your screen. So let's add another layer. Type in the balustrade. So balustrade, yeah, balustrade. So we now change the color from the magenta to any color like this, like red. Now let's use green. Okay, now we have this particular, so we change it to this particular, what is it, balustrade. Now we have the balustrade layer over here. Now you can now trim this off, then you create a layer, or you create a line for the balustrade here. Then you create a line for the balustrade here. It's a double line, so you have to select, then you extend or stretch this line to this part, as well as this area. Now this area, you can as well trim these two lines off. then you type in the L representing the line, or better still, you move on to the draw panel over here to add a line representing the balustrade. Now this polar tracking or the orthogonal is going to help you to arrive at the particular junction you wish. So this is the balustrade areas. So one thing I promise to let you know about layers is that you can turn this layer off whilst you are working with on these particular lines. These ones might be destructive, it might distract you, so you turn off or you lock these layers. So you don't need to select them, you can leave it, then you move to the balustrade over here, you select different layer so as to help you lock these layers. So now we've locked these layers. When you select the lines, do all of them will be selected, but this particular balustrade layer has been locked. When you want to make any modification on the balustrade layer, you can't have access to it because it has been locked. Now we have the access to only the center line layers, which we are going to convert to solid block wall. So now let's move to the design tool palette over here. Then we move to the upper side, which we have the wall. So you right click on the wall unit component or the wall unit over here. Now let's move to the apply tool properties tool. Now we are turning a line work to wall, so we are not going to use or make use of the first item over here. We are now going to use the second item, which is the line work, because we are turning a line work into this wall unit. So we move to the line work and click on the line work. So right after you've selected the line work, you press enter, or better still, you move to the command line, then you click the yes. Immediately you click the yes, you could see that your single lines you created as the compartment all have been converted to solid block wall, leaving the ones you locked. So these are the balustrade you locked. So this is how it works. So you move to the properties here at your left side of your AutoCAD screen. You could see that we have the properties of all the selected walls over here. They have their properties here. Moving to the dimension, you could see that the width is 240 millimeters. That's the thickness of the wall. Now I told you that we are going to use 150 millimeters, so this is what we are going to modify. We are going to change the 240 to 150 millimeters. So this 3000 is actually the height from oversight concrete or the floor finish to the ceiling level. This is what we have as the 3000 millimeters. Is the room height or the standard room height for a residential apartment. So that is what we have here. So after changing the dimension for or the thickness of the wall from 240 to 150, you press enter. Now it will change from the 240 to 150. When you check the dimension for the walls, you can see that it's now 150 instead of 240. So that is by way of knowing how to convert lines into solid block wall. Now we will move ahead to fix in doors and windows and all the other openings within the floor plan. So with this, you can now select the tool, then you change from lines, you change them from lines to balustrade. You can do that by accessing tool palette over here. So we have the railing over here with the same method we use for the wall lines. This is a polyline, so we turn it, then we press the enter to activate that command. Now you could see that we have the balustrade. So when we move to the navigation tool over here to check the elevation, so this is the balustrade we have over here. So this this, and this is what we are going to use for our balustrade or the railing. So having done this, we move to the design palette again to select the railing, apply polyline, then press enter or spacebar to activate it. Now we have the balustrade here for our project, and we have the balustrade here at the balcony as well. So let's move to the ribbon over here to the doors, where we have the architectural doors over here. When you move to the properties, you have the doors. Let's try if you can browse for more doors within this area. So we have the access from the style browser, where we have quite a number of different doors and windows within this area. So you can select all, then you can now import these styles to your drawing. So now when you move to this area to check from the doors, you can have access to quite a number of doors you can now add to your project. So let's move to this area, because we want to add double panel door to the entrance to the living room area. We have the double hinged door. Now after selecting the double hinge, you could see that we have the standard dimension for this particular door. Let's change the dimension to 1200, then maintain the height as 2100 millimeters. So now we move to this portion, then we add it to the wall. Now you could see that it is giving you chance or the access to place in the doors. So having done this, let's move ahead and be adding windows and doors to the project as we see here. So this area requires an opening. There is no door in this area, it's just a closet. So we are not going to place any door or a window over here. We are going to just create an opening for this part. So the opening requires that let's use a rectangle to cut off. We can as well browse for more. This is not an internet-based windows. They are all embedded within the AutoCAD. So let's use the glider window style. It's actually a glazed window, sliding window. So let's add the double hang, then add the corner frame hopper as well. So these are the type of windows styles we are going to import in our project. So having imported them, we can now access all of them here. The grader is what we are going to now use for our project, and the dimension are all displayed here. So let's change the width to be 1500 millimeter, then the height as 1200. So this is what we are going to use for both the rooms and the living room. So this is what we are going to use. So let's do that. So now we want to apply changes to the layer in which these doors were created. So we want to change it to the preferred door layer we created for ourselves. So this is what we are going to use. Since we've selected it, it will now apply. So now in our next video we are going to be creating the text, the balcony, the bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, and these are the blocks we talked about.